Okay, so our today's topic is group by clause in SQL. So let's see where to use it and how to use it. So group by clause is generally used to club the rows based on the similar values in a column, or it can be a column, it may be in a multiple column. For example, let's say I want to find the total sales per customer. So what I can do, I can like I want the customer, let's say there is a customer ID 1, so he did a sale on, let's say he buy 3 or 4 products. So every time he did some sale, so let's say maybe 50, 50, 50, 50 4 times. So what I want, I just want customer ID 1 and his total sales. So where what we are doing, we are combining the table, we are combining the sum of sales, we are combining the rows based on the similar value of customer ID. Don't worry, we'll further see about it and we'll see its example and we'll do some query also. So this is basically the general definition. You can see it's the used to group the rows that have the same values in specified columns into the summary rows. So it generally gives a summary of the data. Okay, and it is often used with the aggregated functions. Okay, so group by is generally often used with the aggregated function. For example, count, sum, average, mean, max, to perform the calculations on each group of the data. Now, before moving towards the group by clause, let's understand little bit about this aggregate functions. So we have aggregate functions like we have we have count, we have count, we have sum, we have average, we have mean, and we have the max. Okay, and general data types that we have in SQL is the string, numeric or float, and we have date and time. So these are the three general data type. Okay, now let's see how this aggregated function will work over this data types. So if you look at the count, we can count the number of strings, we can count a numeric value, we can count the date and time. How many times a date is coming, how many times a numeric value is repeating, or how many times a string is repeating. So that count we can do with the help of the count function. Then sum. We can't do the sum of a string, we can do the concatenation, but we can't do the sum of a string, we can do sum of numeric, can't do the sum of date and time. Average, we can't take the average of a string, we can take the average of numeric, and date and time we can't take. For mean and max, we can find the mean and max of a string. It works in a lexicographical order. So if a name start with A, it comes as a minimum of the string. And if I do the maximum of the string, the name start with a Z may become. So it works on the lexicographical order. Then numerical, we can find a numeric value max and min. For date and time also, we can find the minimum date value in a data set and maximum date value of date and time in a data set. Now let's see this in the Excel file. Okay. So for example, let's say I want to count the number of rows. So what I do, I use equals to. Now for the string, I am using count A. I'm putting a parenthesis and I'm taking the range. So this is my range. I'm closing the parenthesis. And it is giving me that I have the total 25 rows in my data set. Okay. Now let's say I want to find the sum of all these payments. So what I can do, I can use the sum function as equals to sum, and then I can give the range. This is my range. I can close the bracket and I put. So it is the sum of the all the payment. So it is summarize all the rows. That is the how the group by we also use with this. Okay, but currently we are just generally using the aggregate function. Now let's find the average of it. So average, yeah, we have average. And let's take all of this range. Yeah, so it is giving me the average. Okay, same way we can find the mean and max also. So if I want to find the min, I can give maybe, yeah, there is a min clause. We can give the range, we can close the parenthesis, and it is giving me the minimum value, which is the 100. So as we can see, here is the 100, which is the minimum value among all the payments. Same way we can find the max also. For date and time also we can do. Let's try to find min and max. Min among this all dates. Okay, here it's not working, but it works in SQL. Yeah, no worry. Okay, yeah. So we understand this, how this functions will work with the different strings. Okay, now let's see this in the SQL queries, how we write the SQL queries for these functions. Yeah. Okay, so we have group by clause. Uh, okay, let me show you our data set. So this is the farmers market data set where the different vendors are selling the agricultural products. So this is the customer table where we have the customer ID, customer name, last name, zip code, and the customer purchase, what product customer purchase, from which vendor it purchased, vendor ID, market date, customer ID, how much quantity, the cost per quantity, transaction time, and all the information. Same like we have the vendor information about all the information about vendor inventory, what are the product a different vendor have. Then we have the information about the product size, product category. We have the product category table. We have the boot table, which booth is assigned to which vendor. So we have the vendor booth assignment table. We have the market date information. So this is our data set. We'll see. Okay. Yeah. So let's first see the aggregated function in SQL command. So we have this 5 function generally. Main functions: min, max, count, sum, and average. Okay. So let's try our first question. Let's take this in the SQL. Yeah. So I load my data set earlier, so no need to worry about the data set. Let's just do it. Okay. So this is my data set, farmers market, and I have 4 tables: the customer purchase, customer vendor, and vendor inventory. So let's read the question. We want to get the most and least expensive. Okay, most and least expensive item price. Okay, we want the price of most expensive item and we want the price of least expensive item in the inventory. So for that, for the most expensive we can use the max feature obviously, and for the least expensive we can use the mean. So let's try to use. Okay, in the vendor inventory, so we want to find from the vendor inventory. So let's see what is the how the table will look like for vendor inventory. Select star from vendor. Yeah, vendor inventory. So let's run the query and let's see the table. What are the information is given? Yeah, so this is the vendor inventory table. We have the market date, we have quantity, vendor ID, product ID, and the original price. So from this original price, we want the maximum price of an order. Okay, here 6.9 is coming so many times, which means it's the same product. For the same product ID, we can see as the product ID will change, the price will change. So we want the maximum price here for the product 2. the price is 3.49. So let's find, we want the maximum price, so we are taking max of original price. Yeah, and we can give it alias as max price or most expensive item. Yeah, uh, expensive item price. Yeah, and let's run this to see what is the price of the most expensive item in the vendor inventory. Yeah, so can you see the most expensive item is like 18. The currency is not given, so let's take it in INR. It's 18 rupees. Okay, it can be any currency. Yeah, so it is in 18 rupees. We can figure it out easily. Now if I do the min, it will give the price of the least expensive item price. Least. Let me run the query. Yeah, so the least expensive item price is 0.5. So you can see what it is doing. It is summarizing the whole rows. All the rows, we have the huge data set. What it is doing, it is just summarizing the whole data set, and it is giving the answer in one value. So that's where also we use the group by clause also. Similarly, we use. Okay. Now let's check some more uh, example of this aggregated function. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so we did for the max and mean. Now let's see the next question. Yeah, this question we want to calculate how much revenue has been generated in total by purchase made by our customers. Okay, so let's see this. So here what we want to find the total revenue generated by the customer. Yeah, we want to calculate how much revenue has been generated in total by purchase made by our customer. So let's figure it out. So we want total revenue. First, let's see how to find the revenue. So select star from customer purchase. Yeah. So in the customer purchase, we have all the detail about the purchase of the customer. That's why we are using this table to find how much purchase the customer made. Yeah. So we can see we have product ID, vendor ID, market date, customer ID, quantity, and cost to customer. Yeah, cost to customer per quantity, and we have the transaction time. So we want the total revenue. So look how we find the revenue. If we look at the quantity, if I multiply the number of quantity times the price per quantity, I'll get the revenue. So let's do it. We want revenue, so quantity times cost to customer per quantity as revenue. So this is our revenue. If I select this, it will create a new column named as revenue, and it will give me the product of the quantity and cost customer. Yeah, so this is the revenue cost. It gives me the product of quantity times cost to customer per quantity. But We want the revenue has been generated in total revenue we want. So what we have to do, we have to add all this revenue and we want the final total, how much revenue we generated. We want to summarize the data. So for that we are using again the aggregated function sum, and I'm giving it alias as total revenue. Let me run this. Yeah, uh, for proper thing we can do round off. We can use round function to remove this so many decimal places, and we can take it up to 2 decimal places. It look nice. Yeah, we can see. So the total revenue generated is from the whole data set is 8670.49. So that's how we can use aggregated function. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we have some more questions. Let's do it to understand them better. Okay. So let's see the next question. Next question we want to find the average quantity. Now here we have to use the aggregate function average. Aggregate quantity we want of the product purchased by the customer. So we want the average quantity of the product purchased by the customer on the specific date. So on the specific date means what? We want to filter out the data for the only the specific date. And we know for filter the data, we use where clause. So here we have to use where clause also, and we have to use our aggregated function also. So let's try to do it. Select, okay, star from customer purchase, because quantity is there in customer purchase. Okay, so this is our table. Select star from quantity purchase. Uh, okay, let's see the table. Yeah, so this is the table, and here we want the market date on to be this 2019 0501. So let's give the where clause, where market date is equals to 2019 0501. Now let's run this query. Yeah, so now you can see all the information on the same date is only given. You can see only 6 rows is coming. Okay, if I execute only until this, so you can see there are around 1003 rows is coming. But what this where is doing, it is filtering out the rows where the market date is only this. That's why it is giving only 6 rows. Okay. Now here we have the quantities. This is 4, 4, 4, 2, 5, 2. So we want to find the average of these quantities. So for that, what we're gonna do? We're gonna use average clause, average, and then inside we're gonna use quantity, and then we're gonna give it alias as average quantity. And if I run this query, it will summarize the whole data and it will give us one value for the average of all the quantities on the date 2019 5/1. Yeah, so the average is coming out to be 3.5. Is a good question. Let's do, let's check some more question. Yeah, next question we have is the, we want to know the total number of purchase that happened during the second quarter. So we want the total purchase, which means we want the sum of all the purchase, right? With some filter conditions. So we have to use where and sum together. Let's check this out, this question. So we want to know the total number of purchases. So we know select, we already did this select, then sum of quantity times cost to quantity per customer, right? Quantity times cost to customer per quantity, and if we round this, yeah, up to two decimal places as, okay, total purchase, as total purchase, the total number of purchases that happened during the second quarter. Okay, now we need to put the where clause. So where second quarter. Now the first quarter is from Jan to March. Second quarter is from April, May, June. From April to June. So we can do where market date between, we can say market date between uh, 2019 04 April 01, from 1st March to 2019 06 30 to 30 June. Okay, so this is the second quarter of 2019. Now let's run this query and see the output. Okay. Sorry, I forget to write the from where. From, we write the table name. From customer purchase. Yeah, the customer purchases. Okay, now if you see, yeah, so the total purchase is 2086. Earlier in the above one also we find the sum of all the quantity, but here we didn't give any condition. So here our sum was, yeah, it's around 8670, and here it's around like 3000 something. Yeah, sorry, it's 2086. So you can see, because we are filtering out, so the sum will become less. So just the same thing, we are finding the total purchase here, the same, by multiplying quantity times cost to quantity, we did the sum, and then additionally we use the where clause to filter our data. Same way we can use min and max also. For the count also we have. The question is, what if we ask to get the number of unique columns who made any purchase during the second quarter of the year 2019? Okay. So what we can do here in the, if we want the unique customer, we can do the count distinct. Uh, yeah. So here we can use the count distinct value. Uh, yeah. Now let's learn a little bit about the count, like how this all count will work. Can you see this table where we have the orders and we have the value? So the A will have 10 value A, again A we have, C we have, D we have, and then we have some null values are also there. So generally what count will do, count won't count the null values. It will count only the non-null values. So for example, if I write here count star, it will count the whole row, the all the rows. So that's why it is giving me 5 as the result, because it is counting all the rows. If I do count 1 also work the similar, count 2, count 99, they all work the similar way. But for example, if I do the count orders, so it don't count the null value. So that's why it is only giving the 4 as the result. As you can see here, count order, it is 4 is given. Same way if I do for count value, it will gonna give me only 3 as the result, because two values are null. And for the count distinct order, if I do the count distinct order, so in the order we can see, uh, okay, let's see this on the Excel. We have order, we have value. This is a good question. Concept. We have order, we have values. Okay, so we have A, then we have C, D, and null. Yeah, so here we have C, we have D, and then we have null value. Here we have 10, 15, 10, yeah, 10, 15, 10, and then null. Yeah, so this is our data set. Now what's happening? If I do the count star in SQL, if I do count star, what happens? It will gonna count the every rows. Okay, it will gonna count all the rows and it will gonna result as 5. Same way, same like a count star, count 1 will also work the same, count 2 will also work the same, and all these numbers will work the same. Count 2, count 3, count 999, they all give us the same value as a 555. Yeah, okay. But when I do the count of orders, so what happens? It won't count this null value. It will count only this 4 results. So it will give us the value as 4. Same way, if I do the count values, what it will gonna do? It will gonna count only this 3 values, and because this 2 values are null, it won't gonna count. Now if I use the distinct, so count distinct orders. Okay. So what happens here? In count distinct orders, it will gonna count this 2 as a 1 because we are counting only the distinct. So A is there, C is there, D is there, null it won't gonna count. So it will gonna give me only 3 as the answer. Same way if I do count distinct values, what it will gonna count? It will gonna count only distinct. So 10 and 10 are same. So it will gonna count only one times and then 15. So its result is 2. So that's the same thing is shown here. Yeah. So if we do count value 3, 3 and finally it's 2. So that's how the count works. It won't count the null values. But whenever we do the star, so it will gonna count all the rows. Star 1, 2, 999. Yeah, here we have count star. It will gonna count the null commonly used and it's less confusing. Because it gonna count the nulls in count star. Count 1 exactly same as count star. But it is better to use than count the column name. So column duplicate and yeah, it will gonna count the duplicate values, but it will gonna ignore the nulls. And if you do the count distinct column name, it will neither count the duplicate nor the nulls. Okay, so count star will gonna count the null, but if we do the specific column name, it won't gonna count the null values. Okay, so we are done with them. Now let's see the group by. So we know using the group by statement, we can specify the level of summary. At what level we want to do the summarization of this aggregate functions. Okay, to summarize the value for recording each group. So this is the basic state syntax for the group by clause. As we know, first we do the select clause, then we write the column names, whatever the column we want to select. Then from the name of the table, which table, then comes the where clause. If you want to filter based on the rows, it comes here. Then comes the group by, and in the group by, the column names will come. So all the column names will come which are there in the select clause, exact the aggregated columns. Okay, and then we know the have order by and limit, and having will use to filter the group by condition. It will gonna run after the group by. So group by will come after the where, and after group by having condition is coming if you want to filter on the basis of group data. Okay, so let's see the first question of the group by. Just a minute. Let's first understand group by more with some more examples. Yeah. So this is the syntax. We know select, first select, then we have the column name, then aggregated function, and in the aggregated function, the column name will come the same way, like it may be this the sum of sales, average of revenue, or maybe any kind of the value, max and min we can use. And then from the table name, whatever the table, then we can use the where condition and we can use the group by column name. So whatever the column name are there here in the select, the same column has to become here. That's the necessary condition. Let's look at this example. We have been given a sales example where customer IDs are given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Names are given, product IDs are given. Now what we are doing, we are finding the sum of payment by the product ID. So we want the total like payment done on each product ID. So for example, on product one, how much the payment is done, on product two, how much payment is done, we want to find. So just like here we have product one, here we have product one, here we have product one. So what do we want? We want to summarize this. We want the product P1 as in the one row, and we want the sum of all this value. This 500 plus 400 plus 600. 500 plus 400 plus 600. So this will give us 1000. So this will become a one row. Now same way for the product 2. So what happens? Product 2 is only one time. So it coming to be 700 only. And the third row product 3 will come. So product 3 have the 1000 as the payment. So it will give us the total payment for each product. Okay, same way you can see this is the result of this query. So what we are doing, we want the total payment by the product ID. So in the select clause we are using only the product ID, then we are giving aggregated on the payment if we want the total product. So this is the sum of payment, and here is our product ID. Okay, so same way we just did this. Okay, now the same thing, we just give the alias as total payment from the sales table, group by product ID. Yeah, and the important point is group by clause must appear after the where clause. So it will come after the where clause or before the order by. Yeah. And every column, this is the most important thing, that every column in the select list that is not inside an aggregated function. Every column, whatever the column you put. For example, if I do select, if I do product ID, if I do customer ID, if I do customer name, and then if I do the sum of payment, and then I do from sales, and then if I do the group by. So all the column names which are present in the select clause except the column names in the aggregate column, all the names will come. So here product ID will come, customer ID will come, customer name will come. So all the column has to become here. That's the most important point. Then only we can group by, otherwise we can't. In the group by clause, you can group by one or more columns. Yeah, as we can see here, we are grouping by the more columns. So commonly used in report analytics and summarization of the data. Okay, now let's solve some questions over the group by clause to understand it better. Yeah, so here we have a question: count the number of purchases each customer made per market date. Okay, let's see this. Okay, so we need to count the number of purchases each customer made. So each and every customer per market date. So we want to group by on the basis of market date and the each customer. So in the select clause, we're going to select only these two columns. Select market date. Okay, let's say from customer purchases. Now select market date comma customer id from this. Okay, now if there is some filtering condition will be given, we can use group by, but currently it's not. So sorry, where, but currently it's not given, so we can directly use group by. Okay, wait, and we want the count of numbers of purchase, number of purchase each customer made. So how many purchases the each customer made on each market date, per market date. So for that, what we can use count star. Okay, to count the number of purchases as number of purchases. Okay, then we can do the group by. Both the columns we need to take market date, except aggregated column we have to take all the columns. Market this is group by market date, comma customer id. Yeah, now if I run this query, yeah, so you can see uh, yeah, this record got reduced to 677, because what we did for per market date and per customer id. Now you find all of these are unique market date and customer id combination will be everywhere unique, because all the same we just grouped. Okay, so for example, you can see this customer id 14 made purchases two times on this market date. Customer id purchase made only one. Customer id 16 made three purchases on this market date. So in the original data set it has to be in three rows, but currently here we summarize in one single row with the using the group by and the aggregate function. So hope it's clear. And then after the group by, if we want, we can also give the order. We can give order by market date. Yeah, and if we run, so it will arrange all of them in terms of the order by the market date. Yeah, so you can see 2019 433. Yeah, then 13 20s. And if I want order by the customer ID also, so after market date, you can also do customer ID. So it will arrange by the customer ID also. Yeah, you can see it is arranged by the customer ID and market date both. So first it is arranged by market date and then by the customer ID. Let's see some more good examples. Okay, yeah, it helps us to find the granularity of the data. Okay, total quantity purchased by each customer per market date. It's the same question, just in place of count we have to do the total quantity. So what we can do, we can find the sum of quantity, right? This question, what we have to do, just in place of count we have to replace this count with the sum, otherwise the whole question is same. Let me copy the code. If I copy it, if I paste it, yeah, and in place of sum count, if I just do the sum, and in place of number of, if I do the total quantity as alias. Yeah, so you can see now it will gonna give you the total quantity per market date for each customer per market date. Oh, sorry, not sum star. With sum we can't use a star. Sum of quantity. My bad. Yeah, so you can see again it is giving the same records 677 because market ID and customer market date and customer ID have the only the 677 unique combinations. So that's why this is the total orders, total quantities ordered by each customer on different market dates. Okay. Okay, now let's see another question. Okay, so here we want to calculate the total price paid by customer ID 3 per market date. Total price paid by customer ID 3 per market date. So here we want only per market date. We don't want per customer ID for each market date. We don't want for each customer, we just want for per market date. So in the select clause, we only gonna take market date. So first let's select from because only we have the table, the purchase information in customer purchase. Now here we want market date and the total price. So what we can do, we can do the sum of quantity times cost to customer per quantity as total price. Okay, yeah. So we did this. We can do round it also till two decimal places. Yeah, and it is given paid by the customer 3. So here we have to use the filtering condition, but this filtering is on the row based filtering, so we have to use the where clause. Okay, so price paid by the customer ID 3, so where we need to use the where clause, where customer ID is equals to 3, and then after where clause we know the group by clause will come, so it comes group by, and then we have to use only this column which is there in the select column and it's not there in aggregated, which is the market date. So market date, and now if I run the query, so it will gonna give me the total price for customer 3 on different market dates. Okay, so we have total 36 records. Okay, let's see one more question. Yeah, and yeah, in that question we can use order by clause also, you can use limit also. Count how many products were for sale on each market date or how many different products each vendor offered. Okay, let's see this. How many different products each vendor offered. So let's check the vendor table. Star from vendor. Yeah. To understand the vendor table, let's check all its information. Yeah. So for vendor information, we have the vendor ID, vendor name, vendor type, vendor first time, vendor owner last time. Okay, so it doesn't have the product details. So let's check for the vendor inventory table. Vendor inventory. Yeah, vendor inventory will have the product information and the vendor information both. Yeah, it has market date, it has the quantity, vendor id, product id, and the original price. So you want how many different products each vendor offered. So per vendor we want the count of the product. Are you getting? For each vendor, like per vendor, how many products a vendor is offering. So we can also use here how many different products they get told. That's why we can use here the count distinct. So let's see. We want each vendor offered. So we want to do group by on the vendor ID. Select vendor ID, comma, count, and then we are doing distinct product ID as number of product, we can say. Yeah, different, or maybe different product offers, different products offered per vendor. Yeah, now we know we have to use group by clause, group by the vendor ID. Yeah, and then if we want we can order by also, order by vendor ID. And yeah, then we can run the query. Yeah, so we can see it is giving the per vendors, just like vendor 4 is like supplying only one different product, vendor 7 is supplying 4 different products, vendor 8 is supplying 3 different products. So that's how it works. Yeah, so uh, it's not necessary that we can only use only one aggregate function with the query. We can take multiple columns also, and we can use multiple functions also, aggregate functions. So let's see in this query. This query say we want the count of different products per vendor, means the same thing. This thing we want count of different vendor. Along with that, we also want the average original price. So along with this different products, they also want the average original price. So we know in the vendor inventory table, original price column is there. Average original price as average original price. Yeah. So this is, yeah. Now here what we did, the in the group by only vendor ID will come. But just we are doing the aggregated of uh, two aggregated functions. One is the count. We are counting the number of product also, and we are doing the average original price also for the different vendor IDs, the unique vendor IDs. Let's do it. Okay, so it is giving us the information of the vendor ID, the number of different products a vendor is selling, and the average price of the whole products for a vendor ID. So yeah. Yeah, here they give the where condition also. So if we want to filter, we can give the vendor condition also. We can group give the order by condition also. Okay. Now we have one more thing. Same way, just like if we want to filter out based on the rows, we have the where clause. What if we want to filter out on the groups? So for that we have the having clause. So filtering is another thing that can be done in the query after the summarization. So after group by, let's say we group by the data. After group by, let's say in this query only, let's say I find this the different products ordered per vendor and I find the average original price. So let's say I want only the vendor whose average original price is more than maybe let's say 2. So what I can do after group by, I can use having clause, because this is the filtration doing on the group by. First, this is the group by, we are grouping all the rows. Now we are doing having on the group by clause. So here in the BigQuery we can use alias also, and we can use this as average original price also. Why we are not using where? Because in the where we can't use this aggregated function. We can't filter out based on this aggregated function, and secondly also where will filter on the row basis. This is the filtering on the group basis. If I want more than 2, if I do it, the first row will not show. It won't gonna show the first row, it will gonna show only the second and the third row. As you can see, we only get this 2 rows where the original price is more than 2. Same way we can give another condition also. We can give for the product, different product also. We want, if you want the product more than 2 or more than 3, so we can give the condition. Okay, and then let's look at the order of execution. So first comes a from clause. From which table we want? It comes the table. Then after the from, directly it goes to the where clause. It does a filtering, row wise filtering based on the specific condition. Then it tries to make the groups, and then after group it tries to do the aggregated function. And after doing all this thing, if we have the having clause, if we want the filtering on the group by, so it use the having clause and it do the filtering on the groups. Then after this comes the select clause, whatever the columns we are selecting in, then order by, offset and limit. So this is the order of execution of the data. Okay, let's see this question. Okay, so the question is saying find the average amount spent on each market date. We want to consider only those days where the number of purchases were more than 3 and every single transaction amount must be greater than 5. Okay, so this is a good question. Okay, let's first found the average amount spent on each market date. Okay, so we want from the customer purchase, select star from customer purchase. Okay, now let's take market date, comma, we want the average amount is spent on each market date. So average, and I have to take the quantity times cost to customer per quantity, cost to customer per quantity as average spent. Yeah, average amount spent, average amount spent. Yeah, from this table I can do the round off, round to 2 places. From the farmer market, now we did this. Now comes the filtering. So we want to consider only those days where the number of purchases were more than 3. Okay, so for to find the number of purchases, we don't know how many number of purchases. What we have to do to find, we have to use the count, right? So let's do the count, and what we can do, number of purchases, we can do the count star as number of purchases. Now these are the number of purchases based on each market date. So for a particular date, how many purchases are done? So it will gonna do that, because in the group by we are putting a market date. So it will gonna group only on the market date. It will gonna summarize the data on the basis of the market date. So for same market date it is coming 5 times, it will gonna count as 5. So on the same date 5 times a purchase are made. Okay, now from this we did the count from this table. Then they say only those where the customer, yeah, so we can use this count star in the having clause. We can say the number of purchases has to be more than 3, and every single transaction amount must be greater than 5, which means what it is saying, it is saying every single transaction amount, which means it is filtering on the row basis. So for that we have to use a where clause, because it is not doing on the group, it is doing on the basis of the each and every single row. So for that filtration we have to use the where clause. So what we're going to do, we're going to do quantity sorry, quantity times cost to quantity per customer must be greater than, so this must be greater than 5. Okay, then after where we know we can use group by. So group by market date, and then after we have the having condition also. So having, we can use this count star, or we can also use alias name number of customer purchase. So let's use this count star to be safer. It has to be more than 3. Okay, now if I use only till this, if I didn't put the count star condition, let's check this. You can see the market date is there, average amount is there, number of purchases are there. Now I didn't apply the conditions, so the number of purchases can be less than 3. Look here, number of purchases are 3. When I apply the condition that it has to be more than 3, that 3 will go on, because now we want only the number where the count of number of purchases more than 3. So you can see it is 5 will come, so that 3 row will go on. So first what happens, it group by, and it will create another table. On that table, if we want the further filtration, we have to use the having clause. Okay, first we have the table, we do the filtration on the basis of row column, then we do the group by base, and we do the some aggregated function, and then on that table if we want further filtration, we have to use the having clause for filtration of the aggregated column. Now if I don't want this count star column, I can remove this here from here also. No need to do it. It's just to show you. If they didn't ask in the question, we can just directly use it in the having clause as a count star. That's why I didn't use alias name, I just used count star. Now you can see the same thing is coming. So here we learn about the aggregated functions, group by, and the having clause. I have some more questions, but currently let's stop it here. So thank you.